Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Hey, Rose. How are you? Let me make sure that Facebook is doing what it's supposed to. It's supposed to go live automatically. Although, oh, there it is. Yay. Oh my gosh. We got both of them. No trouble. Hold on one second. I'm going to post a link to the PDF and I've put it on. Um, I put at the top of the chat there, I've pinned a link to everything is running really super slow to the PDF that's got the pattern and some basic instructions for you. Not sure what's going on here. Hold on one second. Let me grab this real quick. Hey, Susan, how are you? Boy, Facebook is running really super slow. Uh, all right, I think we're good to go. Okay, I don't see any comments on Facebook, but I do see them. Hey, Bobby. And hey, Miss Kim, how are you? I'm doing okay. I'm tired. A lot going on. Um, it's hard to do, the daily things and then be all chipper for Tuesday night. So that's why I haven't been doing a whole lot of them because I'm just running crazy trying to get ready, writing techniques and editing videos for the upcoming show in Waukesha, Wisconsin. So it's crazy times. So I'm not going to promise I'll post when I'm going to be on, but trying to get everything ready and in order for that to all be done. So anyway, hope you guys are doing great. It's a hot day here in Texas. I think it was 97 or so earlier. So yeah, it's not fun, but inside is good. So we're gonna do a nightlight, and I painted the two that I posted, and in the blog you have the patterns. You have a PDF that has firing instructions, basic um, information, and there it's a PDF with links. So if you click on the links or the photos, it'll take you right to that. If you don't maybe have any of the items that I'm going to be using or talking about tonight. So hey, Sue from Las Vegas, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down because I don't like looking at myself. First of all, I don't like cameras, and we're going to get started. Okay. All right. So this is the PDF that I made for you guys. So it's got the picture of what I posted, all the basic instructions, and then it's got links and pictures of the items to create the nightlight. So there's a dome that's one of our glass molds. There's a platform, and then this just shows you how it looks, and then the nightlight. So if you click on any of the photos, it will take you to those links, okay? And then you've got a page with the patterns. So yesterday when I was taking these items to the kiln, guess what happened? The cat got under my feet and I dropped them and broke them. So I don't have any finished samples to show you. It was kind of a bummer. Bobby says it's 94 degrees in Springfield. I think everybody's pretty hot right now. Yeah, crazy. Hey, Rose, I'm glad you're excited to see. Just real quick, if you're in, if you've purchased any of our products for enamels, for the glass enamels, um, you can go to our private Facebook group. In pretty much every single order that goes out, we put a little piece of white paper in there that tells you about the group. You have to answer the questions. Okay, there's just too many people for me to weed through. If you don't answer the questions, you're not going to get in the group. So remember that. Some of you are on Facebook, some are on YouTube. Be sure and subscribe to my YouTube so you get notifications when I'm going to go live or I upload a video. And then once you're in that group, if you're having a problem with anything, let's remember to always tell me what COE that you're using, how many layers, just some of the basic information, because I'm going to come back and ask you for all that. How did you stack them? Did you paint, top, bottom, whatever? Did you cap them with a piece? Did you cap them with clear? What was your schedule? So all of these things will help me help you figure out if you have a problem. Okay, so if you don't mind putting as much of that information in there as possible, that would be great. Hello, Carolyn from Springfield, also Springfield, Missouri, and Nancy. Hey there. So that's all the basic information that I need to help you. Okay. So I did this out of the glass sampler kit. So many of you have either purchased this online or maybe at the Glass Expo, and how many of you have never opened the box? I hear that all the time, especially the next year at the glass show. They'll say, oh yeah, I bought that. I haven't opened it. I watch your videos, but I haven't done anything. So I'm going to use colors out of this kit for a few of my lives to give you some ideas of what you can do with it. Okay. So it comes with 14 colors plus the DB 101, the detailing black. Now, detailing black is a color concentrate. It comes in here. It's just in a small ½ ounce jar, but it is a liquid. Okay. But it's the same thing as the color concentrate black, if you have that. So maybe you don't have the kit, but you want to do the project, you can still do it. It comes with pods. It has all the colors are in these little jars and they're dry. And then I would not mix them in here. I would mix them in your pods, because then you can still use them dry to do sifting techniques, and we'll do something with that with like stencils or something another time. I've mixed them in my jars, okay, but I would do them as far as your liquid in your little pods that come in the kit. You get a brush also, and you get a 2-ounce medium that's in that kit, and that's called the Glass Sampler Kit. And there's links to all that, or you can Google it or search for it on my website. Practically every order that goes out, and especially in this kit, you get a color chart. So you can say, okay, there's black, white, there's red in here, there's deep cranberry. So you can kind of look at the colors and make your own color choices. You don't have to use what I use. I'm just giving you some suggestions. So this is just kind of a quick reference guide for all the different products that we have. Okay, so that comes in the kit. So what you're going to need is a 4x6 piece of glass. You can actually go up to a 4x7. This particular one that I did is actually 7 inches long. Okay, so 4x6 at least. You would need, this is our PGM 101. It's got a nice raised foot so that air can get underneath it, the heat can get underneath it. So what you're going to end up doing, and I'll use this one to show you, is after you fire this and cure it and everything is ready to slump, you're going to lay it on, balance it on the top of your mold, and then it's going to round and fall over into that shape. Okay. This is one that I did a live on, I believe. It's using stencils and the prismatic textured base on it. So the dome, and then we have these little platforms. So the platform is for, you don't have to use this, but it's kind of cool because you can decorate it also. The platform is for that nightlight to sit in. Okay, so I didn't break these, so I did get them. So like this one would look great in this. And this is actually ceramic bisque, but it's painted with the enamels. You could put acrylics on it. It doesn't matter. The key is, and I wrote it on the paperwork, do not put anything here because you need to connect with glue your nightlight fixture. Okay, so don't put any product here. That way that leaves that open and raw so that you can put your glue on there. Okay. And then here is one of them that I did with just some purples. And you can just lay these on your thin fire, your papyrus. They will not stick. It'll just be more of a matte finish versus a shiny finish that you can kind of see on there. And I just used a semi brush and I mushed some of my leftover colors. And I'll show you how we did that. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? I don't see any. I don't see any comments on Facebook. So I don't know if anybody's out there on Facebook or not. We'll have to wait and see if anybody comments. So the little night light, I'm tongue-tied, fixtures you can get anywhere, your craft store. The Amazon link is the one that I put on there. This has the light bulb comes in there. Okay, so you've got your bulb. and you have to be able to get this onto your piece. So it comes with this little, and some of these are metal. I've seen them as metal, and they push on, okay, to grip onto it. So all we're going to do later is connect this to that flat area. So that's why you have to leave that open, because you got to be able to have the glue. If it's something that's shiny and glossy, the glue will not adhere to it as well. So I recommend that you just leave that area open. Okay, so that's what that's for. Hopefully this will give you, I better connect this or I'll lose it. Gives you some ideas. But you can get these in off-white, white. Like I said, sometimes that little clamp is metal versus plastic. Okay. All right. So I have pre-mixed my colors. The only thing that's not in the kit is the piping paste. So the low fire, no fire piping paste. This is the black. You can buy, I put all the kits on sale. Everything is on sale that you see here. So the piping kit is on sale. The sampler kit's on sale. And the dome, I believe, is on sale also. All right. So it's a thick paste. See that? And to get that into your container, let's move this out of the way. I did a little bit of prep work. So if you already have colors, let's say you're not going to buy the enamel kit, the sampler kit, all you need is a piping kit, and then you need the paste. So what you're going to do is, the nice thing about the piping kit, if you get the black and white or the white kit, is that it has the tool in it, and the tool makes it so much easier to get this into the bottle. See how easy that is to do? It comes with a syringe. You could suck the product up and squeeze it into here, but you know what? It dries so fast. I don't like using the syringe, but there are people that use that. So you do what works for you. Okay. If this is ever thick, you can slightly thin it with a couple of drops of the glass medium, and always make sure that you keep it down, scraped down, so that, because whatever's up here on the edge, when that dries hard, you cannot reconstitute it. Okay, so keep it down. I would even, especially if you're in Florida, Arizona, really hot climates, of course Texas right now, put a piece of saran over this, then put your lid on it, and even put it back inside of a Ziploc bag. I've even told people in Arizona to put it in the refrigerator. Mark it, of course, that it's not food, so nobody tries to eat it, especially the white. Tell your husband it is not marshmallow fluff. Okay, so that's how you get it into the bottle. Is there anybody on Facebook? Miss Kim Walker, can you run to Facebook and put a comment just so I can see if it's going to pop up or not? That way I can tell. You can date your bottle and keep it shook down. Don't stand your bottles up when you pipe. Keep it laying down, okay? The reason for that is you're going to get air pockets. Every time you go up and down, you get an air pocket. So what I've done is take some Scotch tape, rolled it over, and stuck it to my pattern, and then put my glass on it. Okay, just regular old Scotch tape. That way you can see through it. So Rose says she keeps hers in the fridge and it remains uneaten. That's cute. I mean, you just never know whoever's getting in your fridge, right? You never can tell. So I did some, I went ahead and piped out both patterns. I did some application because I want to show you, we don't have time to finish the complete thing, but I want to make sure that you get all the information. Okay. All right. So with your piping bottle, there's a cap closure, we call it. I'm going to take that closure off. It's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And then inside your kit, there are 4 different size tips in here. There's a black, a pink, a white, and a yellow. The white is the largest opening. This is a thick product, so I like to use the white. It also has a bent tip, so I can see what's coming out. You never want to go straight up and down, and because you're scraping off what you're putting on. You want to lay it to the side and then let it squeeze out. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. And then the other thing that you need before you start is take a paper towel and dampen the corner of the towel so that you have a place to wipe that tip off and keep it free. Okay? Hey, Jameson, watching, need to order more black paste. You used up. Mine stays in the fridge. See, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Now, I tell you what to do. Do as I say, not as I do. I use mine up so quickly that, yeah, once it's open, I don't need it. Susan says she puts a folded piece of press and seal. That works too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, Kim, were you able to go out to Facebook and do a comment? Or Jameson, would you mind checking? I see no comments. I posted, but I don't see any comments. Okay, so keep that bent to the side, so not straight up and down, because you're going to scrape off what you're putting on. The other thing is you don't want to go in circles. You would do a half and a half. And a for instance would be for this. Let me come in even closer. I think it'll be better. Really close. So when I'm doing the center, so I'm touching the glass, I'm not staying up and letting it drop. And maybe it would help if I turned on, let's see if I can do the side camera and you can see how close I am. So do you see I'm at an angle? I'm not straight up and down like this. I'm at an angle, and and I've got water in that because I just cleaned it. So always test to make sure it's coming out. Keep that tip free of any debris, I call it. All right, so we're going to just walk around this center. I'm going to go halfway, and I'm going to go back over here and do the other half and meet. Then I'm going to clean that tip off. I'm going to actually fold this so that I don't have that black where it's going to get all over me. You saw on Facebook that you came over here. Okay, Debbie. You can see comments on Facebook? Okay, let me, one second, guys. Let me just expand it. It says something went wrong. Oh, I see them now. Got it. Okay. All right. Where do you get those from? The nightlight bases. Everything you see, I sell. Okay. Everything I sell. The nightlight, the domes, and it's all on that PDF that I gave you. Okay. This is out on the blog. So the dome and everything. Let me get over here where you can see it. So PGM, meaning Paula, glass mold. So we have a few things. And then the platforms. The dome is on sale. The platforms, I don't remember that I put them on sale, but they're very inexpensive. And you can, like I said, you can paint them with acrylics, or you can paint them with the enamels to match whatever color scheme you're doing. Facebook comments appear. Okay, yeah, I just refreshed. Thank you. I see your test. Okay, so let's go over here, and I'm touching the glass, so I'm literally scraping the glass, but I'm not gouging it. Yeah, I'm not scratching it. I'm gliding along the area. Wipe off. Okay. Hopefully that side view, you can see that I'm physically touching the glass. I'm going to stop because otherwise I would be going backwards and I would be scraping off what I'm putting on, right? Turn your piece as you're working. All right. And I'm going to stop about there, and I'm going to come this way and let it meet. If you need to, you can take your brush. This is the CFE class brush. It does come in the kit, but you can dampen it, and you can come in here and you can clean up, if you've got a fat area or something. Just make sure you rinse that brush and get that paste out of there, because it will harden in your brush like you wouldn't believe. Okay. Can see, but no answers. I can't answer while I'm doing it. Yeah. Hey, Carolyn, I see you. I don't do glass, but the idea of the nightlights has me interested. Okay, well, that's okay. And you could use window glass, Carolyn. You wouldn't have to go to the fancy, when I say fancy, but 9690 glass, because you can use any glass. It would just be higher temps than I posted as far as the shaping of it after you're done. So you have to cure the enamels first. See how I'm going and I'm stopping? I'm cleaning my tip constantly. I'm coming over here and wiping it in that damp area. So does that make sense on how you get your outline? Whatever you're doing, everybody understand that? Hey, Lynn. Who else we got? Mary. Hey there. Rhonda. So yeah, where do you get those? You get everything that I've showed you on the Colors for Earth website. And let's see, Kim, some of my customers prefer the nightlight base. I mean, yeah, I wanted to show you these so that you understand, that if you've got the base, you can set the nightlight in there. Can you see that if I lift that up a little bit? Okay. So, and it's up to you what you want to do. I mean, sometimes they like it flat, and maybe you just want to do, say, a 4x3, and you just glue that little panel on there. That would look great too. You can do half of this. But do you see how I'm starting in the middle and then I'm working my way out with my paste? All the way out, clean the tip. All the way out, clean the tip. So after every stroke, so to speak, or every line, I like to wipe it off so that I don't have a bunch of stuff that ends up on the tip and then I'm transferring it to my piece. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. All right, anybody got any questions? I'm not going to outline this whole thing because I just wanted to make sure you understand how to do that. Does that make sense? So no matter what you're doing, even if you're not doing this stained glass look, maybe you just want a flower, and I just kind of drew it out and then I added lines here and there to get that stained glass effect. You don't have to do that. You can just leave it open. It would be very pretty to do your main subject, so your flowers, your leaves, leave the rest of it open, and then maybe you want to put on some frit. Maybe you want to just put on some medium frit, and then you take it still to the 1380 with a 10-minute hold is what I've given you in your instructions. And that way, yeah, so you get both patterns on your PDF, and then here's your firing. So you need to go at least 1380. With your 90, you could go to 1410. Everybody's kiln is different. You know where your that sweet spot is. You don't want it to dog bone, meaning getting too hot. Okay, so I've given you a range there. And then when you're slumping it over the top of the dome, then same thing, or draping it over, slumping, however you want to refer to it. You may 1200 may be good, or maybe 1225 is better in yours. So and it just depends on every kiln is different. Jameson can tell you that. I'm sure Rose can too. You know what works better. I'm going to back off here. Okay, so no questions on that. All right, I'm going to set this down. And then when you're done with your piping, then you would take that tip off. You would put the closure back on there, put it back in the squeeze. You've got a Ziploc bag that'll keep it nice and tight. If you're not going to use it for a long time, squeeze it back out into your bottle, into your jar. Squeeze it in there, clean your bottle out, okay? And be careful. You don't want to put this down your drain. Try to clean it like if you have a shop sink or something that's not going to go down. I'm on a septic, so I cannot do that. Of course, I have an endless supply of bottles, so I just chuck it if I need to get a different one. Okay, so then to clean this tip, I'm going to bring this over so you can see. The syringe comes with it. I'm going to pull water up into the syringe, attach that, and don't put it on there too tight or you may never get it off, or you lose it into your water, one or the other. So I didn't have it on there good enough. That's how you learn. And you just keep flushing it up and down until that is clean. You can also go in there with a brush. You could take the little green like Q-tip looking thing, and you can get in there and clean out any residue. As long as you flushed it up and down, you should be good to go. And just for the next time. And then I just put it over in my palette so that I don't have to worry about chasing it everywhere. Okay. All right. So how long does it take to dry? Debbie asked on YouTube. So I did these probably, I would say 45 minutes ago. So about 30 minutes. I would pipe and then I'd start mixing my colors. Time you're done mixing your colors, you should be able to go back and work your design. Okay. You also need to make sure that you have some toothpicks and some Q-tips. And I like these Q-tips that have the point on them. I think they're a makeup Q-tip on Amazon. I love them because I can get into places. So the basic, before I start color, let's do a mixing. We've got other videos out there, but I want to do it anyway. So the color comes in dry. Remember, if you bought that kit, this is going to be full of color. You would grab one of your pods and mix it in there. I'm just going to grab a little bit of the dry. So I use the flat end, not the tapered end, to get my color out. Make sure you wipe that off. You don't want to transfer that into another color. And then take your GM300 glass medium, and you'll get familiar with the amount of powder to the amount of liquid that you should use. Okay. But add it and then look at it. And I'm going to show you the drip test. Now this already had some in it, and it's pretty thick. So I have to tilt this to do the drip test. If it was full, I could go straight into it. But now I'm using the tapered end. Okay. I use this end to get my dry powder into the container, and then I'm mixing with the tapered end. I'm going to go into it really quick and pull straight out. If it drops by the count of 2 to 3, it is perfectly mixed. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. So it dripped by 3. Okay, if it's too thin, it's not even going to hold on to your tool. So you got to be careful. And if you're trying to mix in these little paint wells, it's hard to get a drip test on that at all because you don't have enough product in there to do it. Okay. Hey Leah, how are you this evening? Thanks for joining. Make sure you always clean your tools before you go into the next color. Okay. So what I did was I flooded in the green side of the leaves, and I used the leaf green so that I could show you how to use the DB101 on top of that later. Okay. I want to show you how to do, everybody can flood just solid colors and I'll do some of that too, but I want to show you how to do the flower. And this is using a 2 or a 3 color blend, your choice. Now, on the patterns, I put all these little lines in here, and then I got to thinking maybe that's not a good idea because we can put those in on top of the dry enamel later. So you can see mine is just the outline of the petal. So I used 310 vermilion. I used 332. I tend to say the last 2 numbers, sorry, because they're all 3s. Deep cranberry. And then I used a little bit of the bright violet, 337. So you can mix it up if you're like, oh, I'm not a purple person, but it does look really good with these colors. Okay, so just a thought. I'm going to move these brushes out of the way. So the class brush that I'm using comes in the kit, if you have the kit. Otherwise, just search class brush. Now, every time you open, I don't know that you can see it. It needs to be stirred. Okay, if the medium has separated, then you've got to stir it up. Okay, because it's going to separate. It's going to come to the top. The color is heavier, and it's going to go to the bottom. And I know that that's pretty good. I like to set mine inside my lid if you happen to have it. We do sell these jars, these little jars separately too. You can get a pack of 12. And that way it keeps my lids. I don't get the wrong one on the wrong color. I think that one's already thin enough, so I don't need to add any more to that. Hey, is it Janice? Is that how you say your name? I hate to say it wrong. This one's a little thick. See that? It's a little thick. So I'm going to add 2 drops of the medium. Hey, Jenny, how are you? Now that you're a painter, Miss Jenny, You can do these too. All right. So the other thing too is people say, well, I mixed it and I tried it and it wouldn't drip. You got to clean that tool off. That's the key. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still a little thick, so I'm going to add 2 drops. Mix it up. Clean my tool off. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That's what we want. Okay. Never hurts to go back over. Janice, yes. Okay, good. I'm glad I said it right. Awesome. Awesome. Hey, is it Danielle? Howdy there. Howdy. Are you from Texas? I live in Texas, but I'm not from Texas. So I got to thinking about that earlier. I was going to come on and say, howdy, everyone. And I'm like, no, that sounds too much. No offense, guys. Those of you that were born and raised here. I'm from Missouri. So I just thought that was kind of funny. All right. So I'm going to take a petal. And I like to do every other one because otherwise, if your product goes over the dam you've built, okay, so can you see the raised area? So you've built a dam here, and if you put colors next to each other, they can flood over them if you accidentally put too much on there. So keep that in mind as you're working, okay? So light color to the outside, darker towards the center. So we may vary this, maybe use some purple one time, maybe use the cranberry another. So I'm going to, do you see how much is on that brush? I'm going to let it drip on my hand. There's a bunch on there. Okay. So I'm going to flood this on. So it's like drop and fill. The consistency of the product, if you have a hard time with that drip test, like more towards melted ice cream would be a good consistency to think about. Now, the other thing I want you to do because of the piping, so you stay away from it and then you kind of push it in towards the piping to kind of, because you've built this dam and you've got this color sitting here. Well, what if you have an opening underneath? You need to get it down under there. Otherwise, it's going to open up in the firing. You're going to think it pulled back. It didn't really pull back. You had an air pocket there. So I like to take the toothpick and I just go around that edge, and it's almost like I'm sealing it and getting it in towards that outline, the piping outline. Okay. All right. So then I'm going to wipe off that excess into my color there, my jar. And then I'm going to grab some of the 32. I don't want it to drip. And the nice thing about these two are you can bring them over here and then you can flood it in like that. And the pod's the same way. See how much is on there? A ton. And don't keep stretching it out. You're not painting, you're flooding, you're dropping, feeling, pulling, and puddling. If you start, what do I want to say? If you start brushing, you're going to get a very thin application and it's going to look terrible, honestly. There's reasons why we do certain things. And if you're looking for a solid application, that's not what you want to do. Now, I need to blend this a little bit. So you can pull these back and forth. If you want to see a variegation, I can wipe off that excess, and maybe I want more of the red to come down, but I have to wipe my brush because, or I can grab more red here and come in. But I've picked up some of the cranberry on the tip, so if I don't wipe that off, I'm just moving it around. I'm not getting the lines that I want in there. So it's up to you. You can also take the toothpick and you can work it back and forth. If you were doing reverse painting, that's what I do, is use the toothpick. And if I say, you know what, I want a little bit of purple, maybe off to one side, I can just add it on the top. And I'm not worried really about contamination because there's very little on my brush that would get inside that container. But I'm going to wipe that. And I'm going to grab a little bit more of the purple, and maybe I want some here just for a different color value. And then if I want to go back into the 310 vermilion, I can bring it down. See, I can keep playing with that. Okay. Hey, Janice. Well, thank you so much for the $10. That's awesome. Thank you. you can do stars on Facebook. You can do, what's it called on YouTube? I can't even remember, but you can send, if you like what I'm doing, you want me to continue to do this, that helps me do that for you, to do the free tutorials. Nope, not Texas, South Carolina. Okay, via Michigan. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and I'm Missouri via, yeah. So I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab that vermilion again. I'm going to start away from the piping, but I'm going to push it over towards the piping. But see, if I brush it, can you see that it's very translucent? And that's not, let me move my hand. See that? That's not what you want. The other thing is to work on a light board. I used to show that all the time. That'll show you if you've got solid application. The ones I have are huge and they're all scratched up now. So as you get more familiar with it, you won't need to use it as often. I'm going to grab my trusty toothpick. Okay, so Janice has a question. So if you want to draw a portrait, do you etch the glass or paint on top? And do you sell a stain? I don't sell a stain. Well, okay, what are you calling a stain? I mean, the designers are the stains that we put in everything. See how I'm going around this edge? And if you're wanting to draw, you may want to etch. That's going to help you. And you can use the color concentrates. You'll be able to do a little bit more as far as brushstroke, Janice. Take a look. There's a playlist for color concentrates on glass. Take a look at that and see if there's some things in there like where I've stamped and did different deals with it. So there's different playlists on YouTube. And guys, you know, Facebook is not keeping videos after, what is it, 30 days, I think. So keep an eye on that. And you can always find, that's why I try to do it on both. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to go up against the edge. I wanted to make sure that it was against there. And then I can bring this out. I can also come over here and add a little bit of that color for a shading. Janice, feel free to call me and we'll talk about what products you have and see where we can help you accomplish that. Okay. So can you see that? And you can see that you're not able to see through it on the edge. The other thing is, I can't show you that, but lift it up high enough that you can look underneath to make sure you don't see any gaps anywhere. If you do, go back and kind of tap it in, you know, get you some product in there. How translucent will this application be? This is going to be fairly opaque, Rose. She's asking how translucent. If you want it more translucent, you could just thin the color down more with the gloss, or excuse me, the glaze. My brain. The glass medium. We have gloss medium in the ceramics and glass medium here. I get twisted. So thin it with this and you'll retain your color. If you start thinning with water, you're going to thin out the color. Okay, Rose? That would be. So, and we can do one of the colors that way. We can thin it down a little bit more in one of my palettes and do a color like that. I have no problem with that. Now, I didn't put any purple on this one. So if you want a little bit of purple here and there, maybe you just want some down near that center. Just a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then I'm just wiping my brush off. I'm not rinsing it. I'm going to go straight into my color and do again. I'm going to skip one and move over. Whoops. I was trying to read. Some more medium, brighter nightlight and some sunlight through. Yeah, more medium is going to make it more translucent. Correct. But, you know, it'll still, even being opaque, you're still going to get light through it. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. So I'm doing my light color along the edge, the outer edge. And I am going to come back with that toothpick and I'm going to just run it around that edge just to make sure I've got it close and all those gaps are filled in. Wipe off my excess, grab my deep cranberry. So I've got a lot on that brush. You see that? I mean, it's really almost dripping off. Okay, and maybe bring a little bit around here. I'm going to wipe that, and I'm going to grab purple, the 337, bright violet, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to wipe that off, and then I can come back. So another key is, let me zoom in for just a second. So if I'm bringing this brush down here, did you notice, and you may not be able to see it, first of all, I have that gap. Do you see that white showing through? So that's not close enough. So let's make sure we've run that toothpick. And this is just something I thought of that might help you guys. A lot of times I don't normally do this, but I've had people have problems where there's an air pocket there and they needed to probably do that. So I thought I'd put it in there for you. Okay, so now watch what happens. When I pull this down, if the glass colors close up, then it's the proper consistency. If it stays open, it's too thick. Okay, so if I want that red coming down, do you see how it opened up and now it closed? Let's do that again, just so you can see it. And I'm pushing really hard. Normally I wouldn't push that hard, but it completely closed up, so it's okay. And I can shimmy back and forth if I want, or I can just pull down. I can also grab some of the red vermilion and pull down to get more distinct lines. You know, if you do stained glass also, you may have a pattern, like a swirly pattern that you like, and look at some examples and see what you want, you know, to accomplish. But isn't that cool? So if it closes back up, you know it's the proper consistency. Okay, so you would do all of your flowers that way, your petals. I did the same thing on the tulip type petals, you know, the closed ones versus the open. But let's go ahead and do just a flood of a color. Let's do yellow. Let me think. I'm going to do lemon peel on the other side of my leaves. So I'm going to check my consistency. And normally I wouldn't work right over the top of my piece because some of these crumbs could fall into your wet product and then it's there and then you got to get it out. You like the feathered effect, Jenny said. I do too. I try to change it up, but you know, I kind of get stuck in my ways. So, but you can also, you can marbleize an area. So like on your leaves, if you wanted to marbleize a color, you could do that. I don't really have, and I'm trying to stick with the colors that are in this kit. The yellow ochre is not enough of a difference in the yellow. I could do yellow and green and marbleize. Maybe I'll show you on that other one. Okay, let's go back to yellow. So let me look at my picture. Not that it really makes any difference. Oh, the other side of the leaves. So just take that yellow, make sure it's the right consistency, and you're going to flood that in. Now, I'm starting in a large area and then working towards the small. So even when I get down here, I've still got a section. I can take my toothpick. You can paint the whole thing with your toothpick if you want. And then I'm just kind of scratching it all the way down to the glass and pulling it down into that little tiny V, just to make sure it gets in there. So I'm picking up a lot of color, a little too much that time. And I'm just, you don't want to brush it. It needs to stay puddled. Okay, so keep that in mind. And I am going to kind of just touch that edge. And then I'm going to come around and touch this edge to make sure it's in there. Hey, Britt, how are you? You're late. Are you in Arizona or are you in California? And I can't tell if anybody else has added anything on Facebook. I may have to refresh the comments. Let me, nope, Okay. I don't see anything new. You can always go back and watch the replay. And like I was saying earlier, just remember that Facebook is no longer keeping the videos after 30 days, so you'll have to refer back to. Thank goodness I do these on YouTube and Facebook so that I don't have to download and do all that mess that some people have to do. All right. Every now and then, lift it up, kind of look to make sure it still looks solid. It does. Okay. So I'm doing the other side of the leaves is what I'm doing to give it that stained glass effect. So this is kind of a refresher. Like I said, a lot of people have the sampler kit and they've never opened it. Or if you've got any of the other kits, you can use some of the same colors. You can use different colors. I'm just giving you an idea. Hey, Teresa. I bet California is hot out there too. All right, so I'm going to go over here. And Teresa, you're from the acrylic world. You could take these patterns. The PDF is linked at the top of the YouTube and the Facebook. You could take the patterns and go use your gallery glass products, for a non-fired look and do the same sort of thing. All right, so I'm just going around that edge just to make sure it's tucked in all that piping. Because remember, we piped the outline with the low fire, no fire piping paste. Hey there, you're late, but you made it. Hey, that's all that counts. That's all that counts is you made it. Every now and then, wash your brush just because it does get the enamels kind of get globby on there. It dries up because they dry so quickly. Now, I would not, speaking of drying, don't try to fire this the same day that you did it. Let it. So I'm taking the toothpick, and this is something new that I haven't showed before, and I'm just running it around the edge to make sure that gets tucked in there, okay, so that I don't have a gap. So Rose says a cold front rolled through and dropped 20 degrees in the last hour here in Colorado. Well, bring it over here for me. Push it over. I would love to be 20 degrees cooler than what it is. I don't know what the temperature is right now. I'm not sure. But it was 90, I think it was 97 when I was out earlier doing shipping. So if you're just joining, I will post when I'm going to be on. I'm getting ready for the Waukesha, Wisconsin, the Fire Darts Expo. So I've got a ton of stuff, clay stuff that I'm building. You may have seen me post some pictures. And then I have to edit and do my videos and my paperwork. And I have 6 different classes I'm teaching. Remind me not to do that again. That's a lot of work. That is a lot. And we've had a great response. I don't remember if I put a, I was trying to look at my different scenes. I might have put that up here, but I don't see it right now. Anyway, 6 different classes. I posted it earlier today. You can go to my Facebook page if you're, I'm doing all ceramic classes up there. I did a glass class one year and it didn't go over as well. So I think we've got more potters and that type of thing in it. We've had a great response. I think I have 54 students signed up for classes, not all in one class. For glass, there's a question, which method do you prefer, the piping or the silkscreen method? When I'm doing this type of thing in flooding color, I like to do the piping because it raises, basically think of, you've piped out a line. So now you have a dam that you've built and you can keep your color inside of it. Does that make sense? Miss Peace, Love, and Glass. And Debbie says, am I the only one who loses the feed to a sponsor? Oh, because yeah, unfortunately, it does that once in a while. Sorry about that. I'm not sure. It may be I don't know if that's in your settings or if it's in mine. We have to allow, advertisements. Usually I thought it was only happening like on the replay where it would stop and do it, but Jameson might be able to tell me more. He's pretty up to date on all that. Okay, so we had a 77 in Cerritos. I don't know, Cerritos, California. That sounds good. I'm not sure where that's at. And somebody else is getting that ad thing too. I'm not sure. It could be something they've changed. You just get used to something and they change it. Isn't that the way it usually works? So I'm just filling in the other side of the leaves, and then I'm going to show you how we can mix a color too, so you don't have to just use just the color that comes in the jar. You can take two colors and mix a color. So let me get these other sides of the leaves on so they can be drying. And the reason I did the green side before I went live is so that it would be dry, so I could show you how to do, if you want to detail or do kind of a Zentangle, you can do that on top with the DB101 or your color concentrate CC101. It's the same product, just relabeled. So if you have one, don't buy the other one. It's there. It's the same thing. Same exact thing. The ads are very quick and you can then skip. Okay. So Britt, do you think it's because of the settings for each individual, or is it something in my settings would be my question. I need to look into it. You're going back to Facebook. Okay. At least it's working on Facebook. All right. So that one is done. I've got the other one. So I'm going to lift this and I'm going to kind of look to make sure I don't see any gaps. Now I see a gap right there on that blue that I did. Can you see you may not be able to see it. It's very, very light. So I'm going to touch that up, and that's good for you guys to know how to do that. That was 351 cerulean. So I'm going to kind of tilt it. I'm going to grab some of that, and I'm just going to touch that up real quick. That's the only one that I saw. So lift it every now and then if you're not working on a light board, and that'll help you see any of those gaps. What size is the class brush? I think there's only one out. I used to have 3 sizes. It's the 2/0. I think I changed the website, Rose, so there's only one out there. But it's the 455, or if you just type in class brush, the less you put in the search bar, the better off you are as far as finding something. You put in too much information, if it's not exactly how I have it, it'll never pop up. Do you ever put a stencil on the glass and then fill in? Okay, now we need to, this is Rhonda on Facebook. The question is, do I ever put a stencil? First of all, I need to know what you're calling a stencil, because there's a lot of people calling silkscreen stencils, and then there are stencils. So a stencil is something that has literally a hole through it. Okay. A silk screen is a piece of silk that you've burned an image into. So there is a difference, and there's a couple of companies that are now calling them everything stencils, and they're really silk screens, and it drives me crazy. Because that's a stencil. That's a stencil. When it's a hard plastic with a hole through it, that is a stencil. A silk screen is a silk screen, but unfortunately, we got people out there calling it different things. You misplaced yours, and my family has been giving me a hard time. Hundreds of brushes in the house. Yeah, you never can have enough brushes, Rose. I mean, that's why I bought a brush company. I'm like, yeah, I need that, right? Okay, so this, all I did, just like I showed you in the yellow, I just flooded in the individual colors. I used 351 on the large part of these petals. I used 343 sapphire blue on every other section. Okay, so it's like a brighter blue. And then I used 301 black for the other sections. And then when I came over here on this one, this is the 351. This is the black, the 301. The lighter blue is the powder blue. But I'm saying you can mix and match and do your own thing. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm doing, right? Is that stencil you have held up in your hand on your website? No, that is, where did I get this? Let me see if it has any markings. I do have some stencils on the website, a few. This one is from cdstencils.com, I believe it is. And it's number 0919824. But I do have a few stencils that I'm carrying on the website. I don't know if I've got one. I carried a bunch and then I just, like this one should be out there. This is like a poppy one. I've used it on a couple of things. And there's some other swirls and things. So just go to the stencils. It'll say if it's in stock or not. But click on it, because if there's two sizes and it says out of stock, there may be one of them that's out of stock, but the other one would be in stock. So don't just dismiss it if it says out of stock on when you first find it. So click on it individually and look at it. All right, so let's mix a color so that you understand you can mix one. And what I had done previously was I took a blue, I took the sapphire blue, and I took the white, and I made a softer blue. And I used it on this one here. I have to look back at my paper. Okay, let's see. Love that one too. Yeah, just go see what I've got available. Okay. There's some really cool ones. A fellow artist friend of mine, Sandy McTeer, makes some great stencils, and I buy some of hers and just resell them. So definitely check those out. Now, if I'm doing blue, which is very, very strong, and white, I'm going to start with my light color. So I'm going to put some of the white in my paint well, because if you start with the dark, you'll never get it light enough. Does that make sense? Hopefully that you understand that. And then I'm just going to put, actually, I'm just going to grab a little tiny bit and let's stir that up. See how strong that is? Sorry, that noise is not the best. But see, now it's a powder blue versus that sapphire blue. See the difference? So you can intermix any two colors, but just start with the light and then add your dark to it, because otherwise you'll keep adding and you'll end up with a lake of light blue because you needed more white into it. Then I'm going to take my brush and just stir it really good to make sure I don't have any marbling in it, to make sure it's really, really mixed. All right, so actually I think I did, it doesn't matter. It can be, I think it was on this one that I did it. Okay, so, and we talked about making it thinner. Let me do this color and then I'll put one out here and I'll make it thinner, okay? So same thing, I'm going to come over and I'm going to flood, and I shouldn't have done that right next to that yellow. Does anybody know why? Because it could go over into the yellow if I get a little overzealous with my flooding. It could blend with my yellow, and then I've got a whole nother color that's trying to create. So do you see how, I mean, I'm picking up a dollop of it basically. I'm going to grab my toothpick. Susan, can the extra you just mix be put into another? Yeah, you could mix it in another container. Absolutely. That's what those pods, and we sell the pods, or we sell these half-ounce jars is what they're called, or the strips of the pods. You get the pods in that kit. And then I'm taking the toothpick, running it along that, and I'm kind of like pushing it so the color goes underneath, just in case there's a gap. Okay, and then you would just need to decide, I mean, you can get really crazy and count how many spaces you've got and decide how many colors you need so that you have the right spacing. or you can just kind of look at what I did and maybe put them in the same type of spots. Okay, so let me see what I did here. Looking at my pattern. Okay, I'm going to put one here also. But yeah, you can save the color. Just mix it in your pod or your little jar. Now, make sure I'm trying not to touch the glass. I don't know about you guys, but my skin is kind of oily, and if I touch it along that edge, I could have some resistance and it could roll back. The enamel could crawl in. Okay, so just pick a different spaces and fill it in. I'm not going to do any more of that because I want to show you a couple other things. Any questions about that mixing? Just start with your light. You could even take the powder blue and you could add sapphire. So just because you've got 14 colors, you can mix a whole bunch of different colors. You can create an orange, take your red and yellows and mix them. You could take your purples and mix with the white and get a lavender, like an orchid type color. So don't be restricted to what's in there. Think about, beyond what's there and what you can do, because it's going to make your product go further. Okay. Hopefully that all makes sense. I did want to show you in the centers of the flowers, let's do a little marbleizing. Let's take 324 yellow ochre, and let's even do the leaf green. I just mixed the leaf, so I know it's good. This one's separated a little bit, so I'm going to mix it up just to make sure I've got anything. And I'll show you how to marbleize those centers, okay? It's a little bit, I ended up kind of just swirling my other one, but we're going to marbleize. So once again, I'm going to start with my light color, and I'm going to put some dots. Let's come in a little bit closer. And they don't have to be the same size dots. Wipe off that excess. Grab your second color, whatever it is, and put dots of it and fill in the rest of your space. This is definitely going to be a lot bolder. And then what you want to do, and I think I'll use the toothpick to show you, is I'm going to make sure I've tucked it around the edge first of all. I need just a little bit more. So tuck it in around your edge, and then do a figure 8 or an S. No Texas tornadoes. Don't keep going and going and going. It'll make a muddy mess. Okay, no Texas tornadoes. I lost a lot of my yellow, so I clean my brush, and I can come back over here and add some yellow on top and just drag it through where I want it. So let's hold that up. See that? Isn't that cool? So start with the light color, put some dots. Now do you see I've got a space there? You see that hole? So I'm going to take and push that over against that area because there was a gap, and I'm going to double check the edge again. But isn't that cool how you can marbleize? I do that on a bunch of leaves. You could marbleize 2 different greens or 3 different greens. It doesn't matter. Just when you're doing it, don't do more than a 1/2 inch of an area at a time. Don't try to do like a big section of this. I would break this area here into 3 sections. Maybe do here, here, and then here. So you'd put down your light, put down your dark, and go around it. Now the other neat thing too is if you want to buy some of the sparkles, you can add the sparkles to your color. And if you add them 50-50, they become food safe, which doesn't matter on the night lights. But if you're doing it on a dish or something that you're creating, that's kind of cool. Once you do 50-50, it becomes food safe. The sparkles do, because otherwise they have a little bit of a texture. Let's go ahead and do this center over here. So light color first, then dark. Any questions about the marbleizing? I don't do it as often. I did in the beginning, but I can say I haven't done it for quite a while. All right, so I'm going to double check to make sure it's around my edge to start with, and then I'm just going to figure 8. If I want more of the yellow, I can come in here and drag it through. Okay, so I've got another area that's marbleized. Now I also see that little gap right there, that black. I need a little touch of black there. So at the end, when I'm done, I'll hold it up and I'll go back through and double check any area to make sure I've got coverage. So, and you can also come back and put like dots of enamel on top of an enamel. You can do that too. Sand says she loves the sparkle. The sparkles are fun. We've done a couple of different things with that, so check out some of the other videos. And where did I see that gap at? It's over there. So I'm going to take the toothpick and just kind of dot that in. I think that was the only place that I saw. All right, so let's pretend that we've got this completely covered. Everything's good. And now I want to add the detail on top of some of those sections. So on here I did some lines on the leaves. That's why I painted the green ahead of time. And then on the flowers I did some detail. You can detail the center veins on those petals. So look at that paperwork that I gave you. Okay, so your if you're buying the glass sampler kit, your detailing black will be in one of the little jars. I've got it in a 1-ounce bottle. So I'm just going to shake that. It's a color concentrate. These are a non-enamel. They're from the ceramic side of my business. So this will be a matte finish. Okay, even on top of the enamel, it'll be a matte finish unless you sift clear powdered frit over it. So especially if you're doing a food surface, you want to make sure you give it a light dusting over the top if you're using any of the color concentrates. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit out here on my palette. And now I'm going to pick up this is the 3600 number 2 liner brush, my favorite liner. I'm going to wet it and I'm going to keep some of that water in it, and I'm going to thin that black down. And then I'm going to load that brush, pull it through, pull it through, pull it through until you get a nice load and you get a nice point on it. Okay, so now you should be able to do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, but that's not going to last forever, so you have to keep going back and loading. All right, so on these leaves, what I did was I created lines to make it look almost like veins coming out. I'll move those out of the way so I don't end up spilling it. Okay, so I'm going to do this one here. I like to anchor with my pinky, but I can't because I'll stick it on the glass. So I'm just going to hold it up here, and I'm just barely going to touch the enamel. Once you touch the enamel, and I'm going to probably go back to that side and overhead so you can see. So once you touch the enamel, it starts to liquefy. So don't piddle around, okay? Get it on there, get it done, and move on. Okay. This also makes it nice because see here how I went over my dam, my black piping went away. I can go back and I can touch up any of my lines that I need to when everything's dry. Of course, all my colors are not dry right now, but if they were, now I caution you, if you start touching up like this, it's going to be a different finish where your piping paste is more of a glossy finish. This is a matte, so touch up either the whole thing or hit and miss all over so that it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And what I'll normally do is just come in and sift over the whole thing. That way I don't have to be picky about it. But do you see how I'm just barely touching? You should be able to see on the side camera there. It's just, I'm dragging across that surface. Go back and load a little bit. So hopefully this gives you some ideas. You could do something completely different than what I'm doing. This is just giving you an idea what to do. Just pull out. And like this one, I think my yellow is dry enough. I lost kind of my center vein. So I can come in. I lost this here. And see over here, I can come in and put that line in. So I'll go back and touch it all up when I'm completely done. Can you sift on the initial firing? Absolutely, Rose. Yes, I do. Because you're only going to go, since it's a single layer for the nightlight. Now, if you're going to do something, make a dish out of it, you can even cap the paste. Okay. If you use black outline, the G0330, you cannot cap it. It will bubble. But this, believe it or not, raised, you can cap this. So you could do the same technique and make like a dish, a bowl, whatever you wanted. And I would still sift between rows because you've got highs and lows and you need to even out that surface so that you don't end up with additional bubbles because of the raised piping. Okay, let me check for questions. I don't see anything else. Anybody got any questions about what I've done or why I did it? The detailing black or the color concentrate black or any color concentrate works better on top of the enamel. When you brush it on direct glass, so if I were to go in here and brush these, it's not even showing up. It like disappears. See, it's just too translucent. Okay, let me switch back the cameras. So it's better on top of a dry enamel. You are welcome. Okay, so let me get these two in there. Whoops. Does anybody else like not breathe when they detail? It's hard for me to talk and do it at the same time because I stop breathing. It's like I hold my breath. Okay, so you can kind of see. Now, on the other one, I did what I call my little Zentangle type. I'm going to grab a little bit more water to thin this black down. Reload that brush well. Get my point. I'm going to work on this one here because it's drier. Okay, so when I do the back and forth like little squigglies, it's called, in the cake decorating world, it's like a cornelian lace. So you're basically, you're just constant, it's a continuous line how you're moving. I used to do this with, oh God, 30 some years ago with like French dimensions. I used to do that with that. That brings back memories. Can you repeat about the sifting, please? Absolutely, Britt. So when I put these in the kiln, because they're 3 mil, okay, single layer, you could use two mils if you wanted. It wouldn't be too heavy for it. I would just sift clear powdered frit over the top of the whole thing. Or you can sift it just over those little areas where you've used the detailing black or the color concentrates. But it's just easier to do the whole thing. You don't have to, but it's just easier. For me, it is. Rhonda, do you put another piece of glass on top before it goes in the kiln? I did not, because these are a nightlight, okay? So I left them single layered. That's why in the firing instructions, I tell you to only go to, if you're 96 user, let me grab the sheet again. only go to like 1380, which is the temp that our enamels cure at. Okay, that's the lowest temp. So 1380 with like a 10 or a 20-minute hold. Every kiln is different. If it comes out chalky, you know it wasn't hot enough. Okay. You are welcome. Free motion quilting. Is that what it's called? I've just always known it from cake decorating. I used to do cakes too. I think I've done a little bit of everything. Okay, I'm going to hold this up because it's easier for me. So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to kind of work it around. Sometimes on the enamel it absorbs it and you have to kind of start and stop, but it is one continuous line. I did a ceramic piece many, many years ago that has fired gold in the whole background. I've posted it a couple of times. And I, with a quill pen, I did this cornelian lace in the whole background of this 12-inch vase. It took hours and hours, and I ran out of gold. Some of you may have heard me tell this story. And it was like, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I asked my son to go grab me another bottle, and he brought me silver, and I didn't notice it. And when I fired it, because I was so tired, that's back when I was working for Hobby Colorovia, that makes 99% of the world's gold. That's a long time ago, 26 years ago. Yeah, at least 26. Do you know that I'm coming up on the anniversary of purchasing Colors for Earth? It is in August. We're going to have a sale. 19 years. Maybe it's 20. 2006. No, 19. Because we're 25. But isn't that kind of cool? And then on the other side, I had done like dots of black, but I can't do that. I can show you on that one. And you could even do that with the toothpick. And I did not put this on the list. This is the wipe away tool, the kiss tool. You can pick up that black and then you can just dot it. If you want the same size dots, you need to reload for each one, and this applies to any product that you're using, even a non-fired. And then I'm coming and doing this in between those. Let's put one out there. So that's another way you can do that. Thank you. Yeah, 19 years. Can you believe that? Wow. And when I bought it, we only had ceramic products. We did not even have glass products back then. In mid-2007, I added the glass enamels. August it also was my anniversary, wedding anniversary too. Well, it still is. It's just, anyway. Okay, so on these petals, just to show you how you can detail those, same thing. You're loading that black, get a nice point on it, and then pull out some fine lines in different lengths. Okay, so I can't do the other ones because they're not dry. But on this guy, just to show you another different thing, on the larger petals, I just came in and pulled and then sit and lift. It's called a hat pin stroke. Let me grab my paper. So I'm just pulling it around and then press and lift. So it's like a little teardrop at the end. And you have to have enough product on your brush to do that sit and lift. Okay, so pull fine point, press, and lift straight up. Pull, press, lift. You didn't know you were going to learn brush strokes tonight too, did you? Thank you, Rhonda. I'm glad you like it. Okay, so let's put some of these. The ones I did on paper look better than that one I just did. So I'm going to come in here, press and lift. I think I'll just go back over here and redo that one. The other thing I did was, so you can, you can leave it plain and simple, or you can add stuff. You know, that's up to you. How much work do you want to put into it? I did go back over all of my piping lines, you know, because once you get the colors in, you're up on top of them. You can see it turns a little chalky, and so you may need to go back over and clean those up a little bit. I also just noticed that I've probably touched and it's come away from that edge. Do you see that? So what I would do in that case is I'd probably take the Q-tip and kind of get rid of what's there, just in case there's any oils, and then reapply that color, which I need to do because this is that mix that we made. And if you ever have an area on a piece that it's like it keeps repelling it, all you have to do, because this happens a lot on window glass, because I started on window glass. So let's say you were working here and it was repelling. Just take your toothpick and scratch back and forth into the paint over that area and it will heal it. It's amazing. Another little tip of the day. It is a great stroke for flowers. Yeah, it's a fun little, it's called the hat pin stroke. And I see a drop of yellow there. Get that off of there. So pull, press, and lift. I'm trying to tilt it so you can see it, but that's not the best thing to do when you're doing a stroke. It's hard to get a nice fine. And then I just pulled in little, you really can't see it on the black, but it looks gray on here, but it is black in the end when it fires. Like I said, touch up any of your piping pastes. See how you can go over that. Make sure you've got a nice black line. So here I lost my line. I lost it in between. So see how you can go back and you can clean that up. All right. Any last questions? This pretty much is, you're just flooding in the colors, whether you're mixing two colors together to achieve a color, or if you're just using the straight color that we give you. But try to think out of the box. A lot of times I will do it the simplest way just because it's easier for most people, and then you take it and run with it. Because I can confuse you just because there's so many different ways to use the products. Isn't that pretty on that flower? Isn't that cute? I'm going to touch that up while I'm there. Whoops. It skipped. Isn't that cute? And you could even put some more in the middle if you wanted to. And then I did it over here on these guys too. I'll just do it on one of these big ones. But you can go back and look at that picture that's on the paperwork and see. But this is how I would do like antennae on a butterfly or bumblebee or anything like that. Kind of cool. And then you can add, I added swirls to the center. So I just took it. Let me move this out of the way. So on those centers that we marbleized, I just started in the middle and then just worked myself out until it met. But you could always do dots if you wanted to do that. The lines take it to the next level. Absolutely, Susan, absolutely. So it just depends on how much work you want to do. I mean, you can just do it simple, you know, solid, or you can add a little bit and make it your own, which is kind of nice. Lynn says it's been a great lesson. Thank you. You're very welcome. I try to throw a little bit of everything in, you know, and like I said, you take it to whatever level you want it to go to. I mean, you can keep it simple. And if you don't do brush strokes, go check out this rose stencil prismatic textured sand technique. And you can just use stencils in the stencil brushes to do all your painting. And then I just put different size frits. So, I mean, there's simple ways to do it. So we'll keep working with this sampler kit because I think there's a ton of you that have it. And, you know, I'm going to recommend, I haven't tried, this is the Gorilla Glue that Jameson Schuler recommends for all of his stuff, for his glass bales on his ornaments that he uses, his decals. I'm going to use it to attach that nightlight okay, and see how it works on this ceramic bisque. So I will put one of those together. I'm not going to do it on camera, but put one of those together. I think that'll be fun. What's hilarious? You're going to be buying ceramic. So I need brushes that I bought from the brush company. Well, I bought Color-Brush 9 years ago or so, I think it was. So I have a ton. Now you feel like you need to go paint. Yes, that's what you want. That's what I want. Definitely another awesome class. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let me um, switch back my camera. All right, I'm glad you liked it. Hopefully you got tips and tricks. Even if you don't make a nightlight, you can make a bowl or whatever. There's sconces. These would look really cool on that. You could always, if you're doing a sconce or a larger piece, I would back it with white after I did my stained glass type effect. The colors just look really vibrant on top of white. I'm sure other products out on the market are the same way, but I tend to use a lot of white glass. It's the pattern. The problem is you can't see the pattern through the white. Now, if you use a light board, you can. Um, and I have done it. It is a little difficult, but I wouldn't recommend that for a beginner. So I have had good luck with it so far. The glue. Okay, good, Rose. Thank you. I just bought the 2-pack, so I'm anxious to use that. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off and go eat some dinner. It's 9 o'clock. I better go eat. All right. Thanks for joining me. And like I said, I'll let you know if I'm going to be on next week. There'll be an announcement. It just depends on how much I get done. Okay. All right. You guys take care and thank you. Happy painting.